My name is Raymond Wager. I'm a volunteer at the Veterans Administration here in Canandaigua, and I run the Veterans History Project. And today I'm interviewing Eugene Brown, a resident here at the Medical Center. And today is February 6th, 2010. Gene, some of this you've already gone through, but we need to do it for the camera. When and where were you born?
10/25/24, Rochester, New York.
Okay. And did you grow up there?
Yes, I did.
What school did you go to?
Went to public schools. John Warren Castleman School number 40, John Marshall High School, and the Veterans Unit at Jefferson High School.
Oh. Were you involved in any extracurricular activities?
Extra what?
Extracurricular? Clubs or sports or?
Oh, I belonged to fraternity.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you finished high school, what did you do?
Went to work.
Where?
Well, first I went to work at Fannie Farmer Candy Company, making boxes for the Rapid Rap division. Fannie Farmer candy boxes.
Yeah.
And after I turned 18, I went to work at Kodak in the bridal department, rolling big rolls of film, or not film, paper, taking wrinkles out.
Oh.
And we ran a rapid wrap, not a rapid wrap, a calendar machine that with steam and pressure took all the wrinkles out of the paper.
Mm-hmm. And what was that paper used for?
It was used for printing pictures.
Oh.
It was a white paper, and they had some buff-colored, double thickness stuff too for portraits.
Mm-hmm.
But that was in Building 50, which is now gone, by the way, in Kodak. They tore it down last year. And I don't know what they're doing with it, but probably just laying there's a bunch of rock.
Yeah.
After that, I went in the Army.
You were drafted?
Yeah, I was drafted. And I went in the Army in the spring of '43.
Mm-hmm.
And I was active from then until August 23rd, 1945.
Let's start with where you took basic training.
Where I what?
Took basic training?
Oh, I took basic training in Fort Ontario, New York,
All right.
for military police. And
So you were assigned an MOS before you finished basic.
yeah, I don't know what that was though. I've forgotten them.
Because normally, like you go through basic and then maybe you go through an advanced basic and then they slot you wherever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did it that way, but I don't know exactly how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Not now, anyway.
Yeah. And when you got through with your basic training, did you go into any kind of advanced training?
Well, as a military policeman in the Eastern Coastal Defense,
Mm-hmm.
we had M3 tanks and half-tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And the riot they had in New York City we went down Broadway with all this armor and stuff.
Wow.
We had cases of tear gas that we used, some, not much, but we did use some. And that was in the summer of '43. Well, late summer of '43. I don't remember the dates.
What was the rioting about?
Race.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. That was a pretty delicate situation then.
it was. It was off and on. And they didn't know how severe it was going to be. And we were one of the first units involved. We had men marching with rifles, and then we had all these mechanical units too. In my company we had 4 tanks. They were an M3A3, which carries a 50 caliber machine gun up on a turret, a 30 caliber machine gun in the front of the tank, and a 37 millimeter cannon. And we had ammunition for all of them.
Ooh.
It was a pretty powerful force.
Yeah.
But to be in a city like New York,
Mm-hmm.
that was exciting because I was only 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, were they tank crews part of your unit there, or were they from a...
No, they were part of the unit.
They were.
Yeah.
Now, did you have to have any multiple skills, like in addition to being a policeman? Did you have any other training?
Well, I
Like,
had to learn how to drive vehicles,
okay.
from jeeps and trucks, light trucks, right up through the M10 tank.
Oh.
And of course, I also drove the M3A3,
Mm-hmm.
which was a very fast vehicle. We clocked it at 26 miles an hour on the expressway.
Really? That is fast for a tank.
Yeah.
Wow. So I presume that ended rather quietly.
Well, then I was shipped overseas as a
Mhm.
truck driver with the MOS of a truck driver. But I never drove a truck overseas. I never even got into a Jeep.
Now that's strange. You were assigned to be an MP. You worked as an MP, and then suddenly you're no longer an MP.
Well, they didn't need MPs anymore.
Huh.
They had enough. And when we were in England, we were assigned to some kind of a armor outfit. I don't know exactly what it was. But mostly what we did was train as an infantryman
Mm-hmm.
and walk. We had to do 20 miles a day,
Every day?
every day, until D-Day. On D-Day, I was on guard duty in the morning, walking the perimeter of the base, and suddenly I heard airplanes in the air. And I looked up, and I saw from horizon to horizon C-47s, each one towing two gliders heading south. And we knew from that it was a day. And from there until approximately September 15th, all we did was train, and on the 15th of September, crossed the channel and went up that Utah Beach Hill. And then from then on, we were in close contact.
And what unit were you in there?
28th Infantry.
Mm-hmm.
We went in as a group of replacements I don't know how many that were involved now. But we went in as a group, and we were assigned to various outfits where they had vacancies. And I got assigned to 3rd Squad, 3rd Platoon of the 109th Regiment.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed right with them for the length of time I was over there.
Now, before we go any further, I'd like to back up a little bit. When you were drafted, what you experienced in basic training, was it similar to what you expected, or was it much different?
Oh, it was different. Entirely different. I was in business. I was a newspaper boy for 4 years. Fell in the Democrat and Chronicle.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you, as a kid, quite a bit of knowledge and training. And then I went to work in a factory, find out some more. And wound up joining Kodak because my father worked there.
So what kind of physical shape were you in when you went in the service?
Pretty good.
Well,
Yeah, I weighed about 170 pounds, just about what I weigh now. And played a lot of baseball and stuff like that.
mm-hmm. You played for the Kodak team?
No.
No.
Although we did have Shifty Gears, I don't know if you remember.
Yes, yes.
He was in the same department I was in.
Was he?
And we used to go nights down to the Kodak Park ball field and watch him play. And that was before I knew who he was.
Oh.
But he worked for my father,
Hmm.
and I got to know him through that.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, I joined the Masonic Lodge, and he was a member of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew him pretty well.
Yeah. I've often wondered how wide was his reputation.
Pretty big.
He was certainly well known in our area.
Well, they knew him throughout the country because
Did
they
they?
were champions. I think it was just 1 year that they were champions. Must have been 1940, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
It was while I was still in high school.
Yeah.
Well, we happened to have a fellow living on our street who was the manager of the Kodak team.
Oh.
And he had a son my age, so we got to know each other pretty well. I went all the way through grammar school and high school with this kid. He went in the Navy, I went in the Army.
Mm-hmm.
He was on a small carrier ship. And most of the time he spent off of Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
protecting the waterfront there.
Yeah. What were your meals like?
I thought they were pretty good. It was very much the same all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I never minded about eating C ration. And I found out what D ration was,
Oh.
and I snitched a case of that.
Now, what was D ration?
Chocolate.
Oh.
Hershey's chocolate.
Really?
And I don't recall now, but there was an assortment in the box. And I don't remember how many were in it, but there was quite a few of them in it. But it was about that big, full of chocolate.
Wow.
And I carried that thing in my backpack across the channel. You weren't supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, somehow I got a hold of the case in the ship, and I hid it and carried it ashore.
You became a very popular fellow, didn't you?
I gave most of it away.
Yeah. Did you make any close friends that you kept in touch with?
No,
No.
not really. There was one fellow from Baltimore, but I don't even remember his name. I did know it, but I probably could bring it up after a while.
Yeah.
And of course, there was one other one that I really liked. He came from Pennsylvania, but he went by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
We had quite a few casualties. Even with the fellows that I was assigned to the outfit with, some of them were knocked off. They'd be here today and gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And either you kill them or they killed you.
Mm.
I have no idea how many rounds of ammunition I used, but there were quite a few.
Now, what kind of a weapon did you use?
M1.
Great rifle.
Well, not an M1 necessarily, but the BAR.
Oh.
I was assigned an M1 first, and then while I was in England, I took BAR training. And when I got in combat, our BAR man got hit, and they put me in there, mainly because I had sharpshooters medal. And they wanted somebody who knew how to handle not the M1.
The bar.
Someone who knew how to handle a BAR.
Yeah.
And I had trained with it in England.
How much did that weigh?
About 16 pounds.
Ouch.
It was heavy. And you had a cartridge belt with let's see, there was 120 rounds of ammunition. You had 6 cartridge holders, and there were 6 of them in the belt. 6 containers. It wasn't a container actually, but it was a cartridge belt
Mm-hmm.
made out of canvas. And you had that slung around your back. And you carried probably 2 or 3 the hell they call them? Another blank.
Grenades?
Pardon?
Grenades?
Grenades, yeah. And you'd take a grenade that was fresh, pull the pin on it, and hold the lever and it wouldn't fire. And then you'd run that pin through your hole in the belt. So that when you wanted to use one, you pulled it out, held it for 5 seconds and threw it. That's why you kept them at the ready all the time.
Yeah. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Everyone was trained to do it that way?
Well, you were exposed to it. You weren't required to do it,
Oh, okay.
but you were exposed to it.
Yeah.
And I drew quite a bit of fire because the Germans knew what that BAR was. That's why I got hit twice with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was fortunate.
Now, where did you get hit?
I got hit in the arm up here
Mhm.
first. Then I got the one in the head. And that was it. Gave them 2 chances and that's all they had. But I was fired at more than that time, more than twice.
Yeah.
Because the Germans were good soldiers.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
Now, what battle was this
In Belgium.
in Belgium?
Hurricane Forest was one of them.
Oh, really?
That was the last one that I was in. Yeah, we lost a lot of men in the hurricane.
Yeah, I understand it was because of the incompetence of that one general.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know about that until later.
He just,
My wife told me about that.
did she?
Yeah, we got a book home on the 28th Infantry Division, where they went and how they went. And we traveled around quite a bit through France and Belgium, Luxembourg, and we even got into Germany.
Hmm.
Now it's 20 miles from Cologne
Oh,
at the time that I got hit in the hurricane. We almost made it right on through. In September, we hit the Siegfried Line down in the south. And the first day we hit it, we went halfway through it with very little resistance. But the second day, they moved up their 88s, and then we caught hell from then on. They used to chase a single man across the face of a hill by firing an 88 at him.
really?
Yeah. I never got fired at myself by an 88, but I did, or I was fairly close to one that exploded overhead.
I guess those are the ones that did so much damage in the forest.
Yeah,
The
the
sky
airbursts.
Yeah.
Yep. That was the one I caught.
Hmm. And where did that strike you?
Well, it didn't hit me directly. It landed about, well, the crater was about 15 feet beyond where I had gone. And when it blew up, there was an ammunition crate out in front of us. Well, there was a stack of them. And when the shell blew up, all the wooden crates just splintered and fell to the ground. They had been stacked up, but they just blew apart and fell to the ground. So that was a lucky one.
Hmm.
I saw some fellows that were on a patrol, daylight patrol, get involved in a firefight. And they finished the fight by throwing an 88 in there. So there's quite a few casualties of that. As you're out there, you got your buddies with you, maybe 15 feet away. You were supposed to keep a distance of 15 feet
Mm-hmm.
between you and the next man. And most of the time you could do it. But there were times when you couldn't move and you couldn't do it. And it was a great time. I saw one of my buddies from training camp. He was a private, the same as I was, but we were given temporary stripes for the training. And he was supposed to be a sergeant. They wore a temporary stripe. And we were trying to climb a hill, a road on the hill. I'm not sure where it was now. But we heard mortar shells fire ahead of us. So our company was told to stop, but we knew there was another company ahead of us. And after the mortar shell barrage stopped, down the road came maybe a dozen guys, and most of them were under shell shock. walking along with just shaking. Never forget that.
Wow.
As if these guys hadn't stopped the German attack, they'd have been on us. We were right behind them. I say behind them, maybe 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Can't talk too much about it.
Yeah. Those are the things that you like to forget.
Yeah. I all wound up inside. You start to shake. Even now, 65 years later.
Mm.
I remember going ashore in Normandy, or Utah Beach rather, and we'd have men standing on these ships going in. They were small landing craft. And when they dropped the gate in front and you went ashore, you didn't have any idea what you were going to get into. And we went right up Utah, followed the guy ahead of you. There wasn't any firing that day, because that was about the 15th of September.
Mm.
But previously there'd been. And as we went up the hill, which was a steep hill, we'd come across these pillboxes that were built of concrete and steel. And how the hell they ever broke through them, I don't know. But they claimed that the Bangalore torpedoes saved the day.
Really?
And been for them that they could push ahead of them and be out of sight, out of vision from the people in the pillbox, that they were able to get up close enough to them to blow them up.
Oh. Now, what was a Bangalore torpedo? Was it on wheels?
Well, no, it was a pipe
A pipe?
that they screwed together. I think they were made out of plastic of some kind. They weren't steel because they weren't heavy. They were lightweight. And they'd have antifreeze. It's ridiculous, antifreeze, but they would have charges set so far apart along the torpedo.
Mm-hmm.
And as they pushed it up, they were able to control where it would explode. And that's the way the thing worked.
Oh.
They push it up through the sand. If they'd had rock or something there, probably would not have worked.
Yeah.
But because it was all sand, they made it work. But they lost a lot of men doing it.
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine, he's passed away now, who was in the Screaming Eagles. The Rangers.
Oh.
Yeah, he was in the Rangers. And he went ashore with the first bunch. Climbed that parapet and went on from there. Never got a scratch.
Really?
Ridiculous. His name was Du Bois. I had another friend that never got a scratch. He was with the 1st Infantry Division. And he went ashore on Normandy. And he went through it. He went through 3 Jeeps. He was a driver. And he went through 3 Jeeps that got blown up. And he never got hit. It's crazy stories like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he passed away a good many years ago from his wounds.
Hmm.
Well, not from his wounds, but from nerves,
Hmm.
which affected him, you know.
Yeah.
I've been drawing 100% disability ever since 1945. Not a hell of a lot, but it's adding up now.
Yes, and the fact that it's tax-free is,
Makes a big difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
So your last wound, was that the shrapnel that got you?
The mortar shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was that during the Battle of the Bulge?
No.
No.
I missed the bulge.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got hit with that mortar shell November 6th, 7:30 in the morning, during a counterattack by the Germans.
Hmm. So they had to evacuate you then?
Yeah. He had to carry me out.
Yeah.
Took 2 men to carry me out. One on the front of the stretcher, a litter, and one on the rear.
Mm-hmm. You were conscious?
Yeah. Well, I was out at first, I don't know how long.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they came in there, I was down in a dugout that would have been safe from a direct hit of an 88 because it had pine logs piled on top of the hole
Mm-hmm.
and dirt over that. And there was a curved walkway to go down into it. And you could sit up in it and crawl around, but you couldn't stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't high enough for that. The Germans had dug it and used it. And then when we came in and kicked them out, they abandoned it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on guard duty in the morning, up on top. And they started the mortar shell attack. And I saw one land ahead of me and one land behind me. And I knew the next one was coming right on. It did. And as I scrambled down this pathway to get out of the way, I wasn't fast enough. And this thing went down and curved, and where it curved is where the shell hit.
Oh.
So that where shrapnel went inside the dugout. And I was in the doorway. I had stopped momentarily, moving down. I was on my rear end, moving, and I was trying to bring all my stuff with me. The ammunition and a gun and all that junk. And it landed right there, about 3 feet away from me. And there were 2 fellows that I had never seen in daylight, sitting on the floor next to me on my right. They got hit in the chest, and they just fell over backward, and that was the end of them. And there were 5 of us in the hole. I got out, and one guy who was a medic got out without a scratch because he was in the back of the hole.
The concussion didn't...
Well, the concussion bothered him, yeah. It wasn't too bad. He was far enough away from it. But these 2 guys just fell over. And one got out with me, walked away, and me, they carried out. Of course, they had to get the medics up there first. And the medics came to this hole because they knew that the night before it got dark. The only medic we had in the platoon was in that hole. So they came there first thing in the morning to check him, make sure he was all right, or if anybody had been wounded, that they would take them out. And they picked me up as quick as they could, got the hell out of there.
Now, did you have any major wounds from this mortar shell, or were they relatively minor?
No, I had 5 broken bones in my legs. I had a broken tibia, or fibula. And on the right leg, I had both tibia and fibula broken. And on the left leg above the knee, I had a femur broken. And I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that there was pain. Hurt like hell. And I also had a broken arm. Had a piece of mortar shell go in here and come out here and broke my arm, and it was it.
And it missed the artery.
This was all full of plastic shell or whatever. And you can still see some of this stuff in there. I didn't know about that until later. And also, I lost my right eye. Had a piece of shrapnel go right through the center of it.
Really?
And I took 13 pieces of shrapnel. They're still in my head. They're mainly here in my nose. A couple there.
Why didn't they remove those?
Took out 3 teeth. 3 my bottom teeth in the front. And since then I've lost the 2 on either side. So I got 5 false teeth out of it. It took me 5 months to recuperate enough to run.
Now, where did they do the surgery on your legs? Where was the hospital?
Where was the hospital?
Yeah. Was that done in Germany or England or the United States?
Well, they did part of it in Liège, Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of it was done in Birmingham, England.
Now, were these army hospitals?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one in Birmingham was a permanent installation. But the other ones were tent hospital. Portable ones. The first one was in some little town. And the second one was in Liège, Belgium. That one was bombed by the Germans, by the way, while I was in the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, I got knocked out of bed. But where it hit wasn't in a serious place. There were a few wounded from it, but not many. But they did bomb it. They were able to do it.
I'm quite sure they knew it was a hospital, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was marked.
Yep. Seem to remember at one time I was in a 12th evacuation hospital in Belgium. See, they had to bypass certain areas of France and Belgium because they didn't have control. They still had battles going on. So they moved you in different directions. At one time we were going south on a train to Paris. And the next thing I knew, we were going in a different direction to Le Mans. And when they got to somewhere in Belgium they had a train, what'd they call them? Where they assembled their trains.
Depot?
Train depot, yeah, it might have been that. But the U.S. had bombed it, and there were critters all over it.
Mm.
And we went through there with bulldozers up front, pushing sand, or not sand, but gravel and whatnot around to rebuild the track. And as they pushed it out and leveled it, they came along and laid a track, and the train went over it. And this was at night when we were moving, and you could feel the damn thing swaying. They didn't move very fast, maybe only 1 or 2 miles an hour, but they had to go through this place where it was all blown to hell.
Yeah.
And I was on a bottom rack. They had 5 racks of litters that were attached to the walls of the boxcar. And I was on the bottom. And there were 4 more above me. And we went through this place wondering what the hell was going on, because there was no lights. All they had were flashlights, the medics. And the train was trying to move all the time, so they didn't have any base to get power from. And you could feel the thing moving above you. I didn't know what it was at the time. But later, after we got to Cherbourg, they told us about what it was that we went through. Just lucky that we got through it.
Yeah.
Because it very easily could have caved in somewhere along the line, and then they'd have another wreck to pick up.
Yeah.
When we got to England, though, they had fast trains, fast passenger trains, that scooted us up through Britain into Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew what it looked like. I lost my vision from the concussion.
Oh. So at this time you were blind?
Yeah. Yeah, I was blind for about 4 months.
Really?
And then my vision came back in the left eye. And of course the right eye was already gone.
That must have been pretty frightening.
Yeah. I wore a mask over your eyes that they use in the artillery, no, not artillery. They use in the tanks for the sand of Africa.
Mm.
And they came around with a pair of those things for me. And the lens was opaque. And they put pinholes in the lens so that after a while, when the concussion wore off, I was able to see out of this eye without any correction to the lens by using that pinhole to see through. So can you imagine going around for 3 or 4 months and not going very far, but with that pinhole to see through. Even today, at times I can take my hand like that and look through there with no lens and see your face perfectly.
Mm.
Or if I take it away, your face immediately blurs and I can't see it.
Hmm.
They tell me that I'll probably never get the sight back. It'll keep failing. Oh, what the hell is they call it? Almost thought of it there. We'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
But then I came back to the States. I landed in the middle of February, and I was discharged in August. Little anecdote. The guy that was ahead of me in line to discharge had two legs off. One above the knee and one below the knee. And he walked better than I did.
Really?
Miraculous.
That's what's so terrifying about the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Men who never would have survived in the previous wars
Yeah.
are now coming back, and I've often thought, how many of those fellows wish they had died instead of being the way they
Yeah.
survived.
Yeah.
So you came back, and I presume you were recovering from your surgeries and so forth
Yeah.
until your discharge.
Yeah, I came home in August, and the following September of 47, I took off. I bought a new car, and I took off with a new car to go to the West Coast. And I made it. Traveled over 8,000 miles. I drove across the north of country, stopped in Kimball, South Dakota, where I had relatives.
Mm-hmm.
One of my father's cousins lived there. And I went on to Vancouver, Canada, and then I headed south. And I traveled down US 101 all the way to Tijuana, Mexico. Took me a week just to drive that distance. My daughter's living out there now.
Oh,
She lives in Sierra Woolley, Washington, little town just off the highway. And she's teaching school now. She's teaching yoga.
oh,
She wants me to come out there. I think I probably will, but I gotta get back to walking first. I don't know what they're gonna do about that. I walked up till December, I think it was, 2006, yeah. And my right knee won't support the weight. I don't know what they're gonna do about it. But I had the left knee replaced 10 years ago,
you did.
and it's been fine.
Hmm.
I don't know why they're so hesitant to do anything with the right one.
The VA did that?
Hmm?
The VA did your right knee or your left knee?
No,
No.
I had it done outside. At that time, I wouldn't have anything done with the VA.
Yeah.
I used to argue and fight with them all the time.
Hmm. Now, do you have a doctor on the outside?
Yeah. He was a young fellow. He worked at Strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been going to doctor for quite a while. And finally one came along and would agree to doing this. So I had it done. And right after my operation was one of the last ones he did for Strong. And he's down south now.
Hmm.
He went into southern weather. He was a young fellow. His name was Olcott. Dr. Olcott.
Hmm. Your current outside physician, does he think that your knee should be replaced?
I haven't been to one since.
Oh, you haven't?
Oh.
You may have to do that if you want to get that knee operated on, because I don't know what the VA's thinking is. You have a doctor here.
Yeah.
What's that doctor's name?
There's three of them. I don't know. I don't know what their names are. But they say wait and see.
Is one of your doctors a woman?
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Might be.
Because if it's Dr. Healy, she's wonderful.
Healy? She is my doctor.
Is she?
Yeah.
Because you can talk to her, you can ask her,
Yeah.
why do we need to, I mean, she's just wonderful. I just can't say enough of good about her.
That's what I've heard. I haven't seen her too much though. Well, once a week.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think she handles 4 wards.
Oh yeah?
I think so. But the next time you see her, you can kind of stress the fact that you'd really like to know what they're planning on doing. This idea of waiting doesn't seem to make any sense.
Yeah. Well, that's what I came in here for. And of course I didn't have Healy then. There was somebody else. And that's what I came in here for.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I was concerned, that's what I wanted. And geez, we went 6 months before I saw a doctor. Seems ridiculous, doesn't it?
If you have problems like that, do you know who to go to? Ask for the social worker.
I've seen a social worker.
You've seen her. Because she should be able to help you get some answers. And if she doesn't, then ask to go see the
Patient steward?
yeah, veteran service officer, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah. Well,
And if you want to get tough about it, you can always suggest to them that, look, if I don't get some kind of reasonable response, I'm going to write to my congressman.
yeah,
And that'll shake them up.
I've thought of that.
But to be here for 2 years and not get attended to what you came for is just not right.
Doesn't make sense. Well, why I don't know, but they can't correct my vision. My vision now is it's less than 20 feet. If you're more than 20 feet away from me, I wouldn't know who you were.
Mm-hmm.
And it's depth of vision. At a certain depth, I can see. But then you go beyond that or short of that, and it just all becomes a blur.
How long ago did you have your last eye exam?
A couple months ago.
Hmm.
And they said I've got, that's the word I can't say. Oh well.
Are you developing a cataract?
I had a cataract operation.
You did?
Yeah. And I had a lens implant.
Mm-hmm.
And after the lens implant, I could see 20/20. But since then, it's gone downhill.
Hmm.
And that was well, that was about 10 years ago. 88, I think it was. 80, no, not 88, 98. 98, I had the lens implant. Dr. Stephen Scott Searle
Oh, in Pittsburgh.
from, yeah, at Strong Hospital. Good man. He's been watching me until I came in here 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen him since. But I doubt if he would want to operate again. That's a pretty ticklish operation.
Yeah.
We know he did the first one successfully, but even he doesn't think he would be able to do it the second time. So we just wait and see.
Yeah.
Live with it.
Now, to get on with this, after this wonderful trip you took, you got back home, what did you do?
Got married.
Oh yeah? How'd you meet her?
Oh, through a friend. Through a friend of a friend. I met her through meeting a friend of my mother's who lived down the street from us. And she had just graduated from high school. And we went out a little bit, nothing out of the ordinary. And then she introduced me to a girl in 1948 who had just graduated from college. And we hit it off. And 3 years later we got married.
Oh.
Had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl.
Yeah.
My oldest son joined the Army when he was 18. Joined the Signal Corps. He spent 20 years in the Signal Corps. He retired in 1990.
Oh.
And he's married, got a Korean wife. Spent a lot of his time in Korea. And they're living in Florida right now.
Mm-hmm.
They bought a delicatessen
Oh.
in Brandon, Florida. It's a suburb of Tampa. They got 1 daughter, 1 granddaughter. That's going to be it, as far as that goes. And she's in the Navy.
Really?
She's over in Japan
Ah,
right now. She'll be there for another year.
yeah.
She's a Navy, the hell do they call them? Navy rock? No. Navy corpsman.
Hmm.
And she's going to school somewhere in northern Korea,
Northern Korea?
or northern Japan.
Oh, okay.
I get mixed up once in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in over a year. She was home last Christmas,
Hmm.
or a year ago Christmas. My son spent several tours in Korea,
He did?
and he spent a couple of tours in Italy and Germany, and he went through France. He did a lot of traveling around
On his own or?
on his own. Yeah.
Oh. What was he in the Air Force?
No, he was in the Signal Corps.
Signal, that's right, you told me that.
Yeah.
When was he in Korea?
Oh, mainly in the 70s.
Hmm.
the last 2 or 3 tours he spent in Europe, in Italy and Germany. He's got relatives in Stuttgart, Germany.
Mm-hmm.
And he visited anyway. I don't know, he didn't stay there long, but he did visit them. And he had some kind of a vehicle, truck, that he drove when he had to transfer or be somewhere else. He had a regular run like a route where he went and corrected his equipment. He was an electronic technician.
Oh.
He must have been pretty good at it because he was an E6.
Yeah.
Hi. I was hoping to borrow some applesauce. There's none up there. Let's see if there's
My other
any.
son's an explorer.
Oh, really?
He's a scuba diver and a spelunker, and he's at it all the time. Whenever he can get away, he's down in Puerto Rico right now.
What's he do for a living?
He's a computer engineer. He repairs and installs computers
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. He travels all over the country. He works in a contract basis.
Uh-huh.
And he's just finished up a job down in Dallas, Texas. So when he comes back from Puerto Rico, that's where he'll be for a while, until he gets another contract.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem to have any trouble getting contracts.
Yeah?
No,
Now, is he married?
no, he's single.
Because that kind of a job would not be conducive to a good
Right.
marriage.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's not interested in getting married. He's, what, 50, 60, 61 now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 61. Born in 1959. My daughter was born 60.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a lesbian. She lives with this girl.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've lived together for 20 years. When they got out of college, they went to Florida. And they worked for Board of Education. Her buddy did. And Barbara worked for the space at Cape Canaveral.
Oh.
She worked for one of the technical companies. When the one that blew up on takeoff
Oh, yeah.
blew up,
The Challenger.
she was out at the end of the catwalk. Not a catwalk. The end of the runway for the takeoff. Not a runway. The pad where they blast off from. And she was the first truck in line to go out and start their inspections before they'd let anyone else in there.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's working up in the West Coast, in Washington, in Oregon, and they're building underground fluid lines, oil, water, gas. But she's going to leave that. They would work there. She's working for a company out of Chicago, and they had these West Coast jobs to work on. And her partner's a school teacher with a master's degree. Barbara's got a master's degree. So they're doing all right. They got a beautiful home.
Do they?
It's built right in a rock mountain.
Hmm. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
out there 3 years ago.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah, she wants me to come and live with them. But I'm still kind of queasy about this way of living.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that a man is a man is a man, not a woman. But we can't all have the same ideas.
No, and we can't seem to, as a people, we can't seem to think rationally.
Yeah.
And we also know that in all the world, as far as we know,
Yeah. It's been prevalent.
yeah, and man is the male is dominant, and the females are subjects. Some more so than others in various societies.
Mm-hmm.
We know that in Japan, the custom was that the wife had to walk 3 paces behind the husband. Well, now that's all changed.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this sexual orientation, we mix it up, I think, with we take the Bible, I'm talking about as a society, we take the Bible and what it says, and then we try to justify our belief by what that says. But the Bible is not a rational book. I know I've had, trying to think now, I used to have some apartment houses here in Canandaigua, and I had one apartment 2 guys shared, and that was a homosexual relationship.
Yeah.
But the one fellow in that relationship didn't seem committed to it. In other words, his need was not as strong as the other guy's need was. I had a student from Brockport under my supervision. I was a school social worker in Rochester, and she was homosexual, and a nice person, got along well, a very caring person. So I've been lucky in that I've met some people who, aside from their sexual orientation, were no different than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess I didn't develop a prejudice. I don't like the militant attitude of homosexuals. But maybe they've got to be militant to get some kind of equality. You know, you probably heard that the military now, the top generals have told Obama that they should end the don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
Well, there have been homosexuals in the military since there's been militaries, and it hasn't. But here again, we get this macho male thing. I want someone I can depend upon. Well, why can't you depend on this guy just because he likes guys? Or the other thing you'll hear a lot of is, well, this one general wants them to have to live in separate barracks.
Yeah.
Why? We know for a fact that under the current system, there's a lot of sexual abuse of women by men in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why do they think that if a person is gay, that they're going to assault a non-gay service member? I'm not saying this very well because I haven't thought it out, but what I'm getting at is that there's no consistency, there's no rational, it's all emotional bias. Well, we don't deal well with these problems.
No.
No. So I can appreciate your reluctance to go live with them because you're not too sure how to. I'm trying to put myself in your place. How do I react to them?
Yeah.
You know. Oh, and then a fellow that I interviewed here in town, Tony Raguso. His daughter is gay and a nice person, and her partner is. I've met them both. They're very down to earth. And Tony accepts it. It's the way they are. It's not going to cause the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get these I call crazy right-wing evangelists who, what was it? One of the worst ones, what was his name? Falwell.
Oh, Jerry Falwell?
Yeah, yeah. And this Pat Roberts, hey, this guy is really off the wall. He's he's so extreme that he blames natural disasters on the homosexual lifestyle of people.
Hmm.
Really? Anyway, those, I forgot that's on. Better finish this up. Now, your wife died in November?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my second wife.
Oh, okay. Your first wife died?
Hmm?
Did your first wife die?
Yes.
Okay.
She died in 75,
Oh.
and I married this girl 3 years later. She was my neighbor, actually.
Yeah.
In a house 2 houses away. And I've known her for years and years, all the time our kids were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And we just got together and decided to go together.
Good.
And then she got involved with cancer.
Oh.
She had breast cancer, and then she had another part of it. And she passed away in Strong Hospital of lack of oxygen.
Lack of
Oxygen.
really.
Never would have thought of something like that. But autopsy, or opinion of the doctor anyway, was that she died of lack of oxygen.
Was that because of the cancer or because someone didn't pay attention to her?
That's the question.
Hmm.
I didn't go one way or the other. And her kids handled they handled the hospital and they handled the buildings and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I didn't have much to say about it, but they didn't require an autopsy. I didn't find out about that until much later.
Hmm.
I just assumed that they would do it.
Hmm.
So who knows really why she died?
Now you mentioned, and I almost forgot to do this, you mentioned that you were a salesman for a long time.
I was what?
A salesperson?
Yeah.
What did you sell?
Wholesale hardware,
Mm-hmm.
wholesale auto parts, and general store clerk.
Yeah. Is that what you did after you came back out of the service?
Yeah.
And you did that until you retired?
No. I worked at it for about 8 years,
Hmm.
and then I went to work for the post office as a
Mhm.
window clerk. And I did 23 years there,
Wow.
and I retired from that when I was 52. I took a disability retirement.
Mm-hmm.
That was, 1977, shortly after my first wife died.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 78, I married my neighbor. And we did a lot of traveling around the country, went to Europe,
Ah.
went to Hawaii and Japan and China. Kind of duplicating what I did with my first wife.
Mm-hmm.
But we traveled all over the world.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Well, that's wonderful.
yeah. Been in almost every state, including Hawaii and Alaska. Flew over Alaska, and we had an opportunity to observe the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
and they're magnificent. Now I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Whether I stay here or stay someplace else. I can't live alone. And right now I can't walk, and I don't know if I'm ever going to walk again.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to change any or get any better or anything. Even with all the exercise and stuff that I do down there. I just can't stand the weight on that one leg, my right leg. The knee collapses. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll go to live on the West Coast. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking if you talk to Dr. Healy and try to get her to give you an explanation of what you can expect, if you can get this healed, then you could go visit maybe your daughter for a few weeks to see.
See how I operate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that would be nice if you could live with them.
Well, I don't think it'd be any problem between us if I went to live with them. They're very active kids. They go on vacations to South America.
Really?
Yeah. Climb mountains down there, all
Wow.
kinds of stuff. Where they live, they're about, I'd say 20 or 25 miles from either the mountains or the ocean.
Mm,
They're right in the middle.
that's good.
And they can go either way, whether they want to go swimming or whether they want to go skiing. And they took me on a trip up to Mount Baker. They went skiing, I didn't, but they went skiing. I used to ski
Did you?
when I had two legs.
Yeah.
That was a few years ago now.
So you really had a very full life.
Been active, yeah.
Yeah. Did you join any of the veterans organizations?
I joined the 40 and 8 back in 1945,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't like it. I didn't like the post,
Ah,
so I quit. And I belong to the DAV, Disabled American Veterans.
right.
But that's the only thing I've been active in at all.
Yeah. Well, is there anything we've left out that you'd like to toss in?
Oh, I think that pretty well covers it.
I want to thank you very much for taking this time to give us the benefit of your experiences. It's one of the best interviews I've done.
Oh, well, you're welcome. Thank you very much for taking the time to do it.